What is the name of our show?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Large Glass. I am Todd.
I am Terri.
And it is really nice to see you again. We've got an awesome show tonight.
We do.
A fantastic show.
Very exciting.
I'm really excited. So I just wanted to mention, and we saw that Champagne Coulee followed while we were getting ready to start. So thanks for that follow. It's really nice to have you. Welcome. There's Mom. She says, I'm so excited about tonight.
Yes.
I am too.
So are we.
I know. So what's new?
What's new? Well, this is episode 38.
38.
So we're getting closer to 40.
What are we going to do for 40?
I don't know.
I think we should do something cool for 40.
Yeah, well, we do something cool for every show. So.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
true.
Tonight we're doing something really cool.
We are. We are doing something really cool. This is one I've been looking forward to for quite a while. There's Dave. Hey, what's going on? Nice to see you. Should we?
Here.
Ben's here. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Who else? Pumpkin Audrey is here.
Cool.
Excited
They're
about the show tonight.
in.
Yep, people are
Awesome.
coming. Very nice.
Okay.
So I think we should start by drinking
Yes.
our beverage.
Yes, I
All right.
agree.
So our artist tonight, first of all, is live in the studio. We have them here.
Mm-hmm.
They hail from California. Once from San Francisco, now north of there, actually up in the Redwood Forest.
Yes.
Which is like
Awesome.
super cool.
Yep.
Sonoma County to be specific. Now we are drinking a San Francisco beer, but I believe they're going to join us with a Sonoma County beer. So we'll find out about that in a little while. For now, we are drinking Anchor. Now, of course, Anchor's theme, I wanted to get something a little bit more original than Anchor's theme. So Anchor clearly has some other beers. So this is Anchor Liberty, which I'm pouring for Terri. And I am having another Anchor. No ASMR tonight. There you go.
Well, we'd have to hold it pretty high up.
Yeah, and it never works with the beer. It's never really quite works with the beer.
You're always such a gentleman. You always pour for me, and here I am just sitting here waiting for it, and I should pour for you.
I think in like episode 19, I totally forgot to pour for you. I just poured for me.
Oh, no, that's okay. But I should,
I'm having the Anchor Crisp Pilsner. This is actually blue. I don't know why the green screen is playing games with it, but it's really quite pleasant.
Yes.
There's Amanda Tulin. Hi, Amanda.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Good show coming up tonight. I hope you're excited. We're excited. So we are going to toast. I like the neckline of your top, Terri.
Oh, I thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
well,
Victoria.
here's to Terry's neckline and to episode
Episode
38. I'm
Yes.
excited. Boom. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Let us know what you're drinking in the chat. Well, it's very mellow.
Mine's a little hoppy.
This is not, is it? Do you want to
Yes.
switch?
Do you want to try to taste mine? I'll taste yours.
Oh my gosh, we're actually switching.
Ooh.
Oh, this is kind of cool.
This is okay.
All right, you want to stay this way?
Yeah, let's stay this
All right,
way.
that's fine.
Okay.
All right, good. So I like a little hoppy, and you like a little bit lighter, summery.
Yes, light and summery.
All right, good. So I'm on the Liberty, you're on the Crisp.
Okay.
All right, enough of that. Pumpkin Audrey Sauvignon Blanc. Excellent.
Oh, nice.
Pistachio cashew ice cream spooning instead of dipping. Nice. I like that.
Sipping.
Sipping. Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. Good. Spooning is good.
Yes.
Grapefruit vodka and Arnold Palmer.
Dang.
Jess Park having sparkling rosé. Looking forward to tonight. Yeah, we are too. I actually have this. Can I say it? You know where I'm going with this, right?
One never really knows where you're going. Go ahead.
Fine, I'm gonna go. So I'm really glad you're drinking a sparkling rosé, Jess, because I actually prefer in the summer months a good rosé, right? Mom's drinking milk. All right, we'll talk to you later about that. I prefer a really good rosé with like a nice summer salad. I mean, look, you spend some time in Paris, that's what's gonna happen, okay?
Yeah.
Rosés are actually, you can get some really, really fantastically dry, crisp, complex rosés that are really refreshing in the summertime.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, whatever. She doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't. Anyway, I'll get off that subject. Nice job on the sparkling rosé.
Rosés are very nice.
They are
very elegant.
They are.
Yes.
They are. You're just playing to the crowd right now. All right, we have got some news, and we have got some. First of all, we got a featured supporter this time, right? So we've got to go over to that. So let's have a look at who our featured supporter is this week. It's Pumpkin Audrey. Pumpkin Audrey, you've been here for every episode.
Every episode.
We love you. Thank you for that.
Yes.
We wanted to celebrate you tonight, so kudos to you. And I have a feeling with the way we're gaining followers and the speed at which we're celebrating those followers, we'll never, ever get to the end of that list. So kudos to you, Pumpkin Audrey. Thank you. All right. Moving on. We've got a little bit of news, and the news is short.
Very short.
The news is short tonight, but we really wanted to throw a shout out to the Haunted and Art Tour one last time. They made a nice donation to the Large Glass. We really appreciated that, and we wanted to say thank you to you, and we look forward to working with you again. So that's the news for tonight, and Pumpkin Audrey says she's feeling the love. Aww. That's good. So Haunted and Art Tour, you're awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
We can't wait to be back on that again next year.
Yeah, that was a really good experience. It was a lot of fun.
It was. I loved working out of the Haunted and Art Museum. There's some great experience
and there's some
there.
upcoming shows that are on the radar for them as well.
There's a great bookmakers show there happening right now, and I put that in our newsletter. If you have not yet subscribed to our newsletter, let me know in the chat, and I'll get a link in there for you at some point tonight during the show, and you can subscribe. We send that out on Tuesday afternoon, so you get reminded to watch the show, and you also get some updates on different shows that are either local or in New York. So, all right, let's open up birthdays, because I want to fly through these well, we don't have to fly through the birthdays.
No, we don't have to, but there's quite a few. May seems a very
it gives birth to a lot of artists.
Yes, there you go. It's a ripe time for
Wait a minute,
artists.
I'm counting back 9 months from May. Where do we land?
So it's 4 months. So that's right around September-ish, right? What's so romantic about September?
Late summer? Things are getting cooler. You're finally not sweating like crazy.
Guess so.
I don't know.
I'm
not even going to speculate on this.
That's
Who do we have here?
Show.
Who are we saying happy birthday to tonight?
Okay, somebody I'm going to totally mispronounce. This is Eugene Romain Therion.
Yeah.
He is a French romantic painter who was born in 1839 on May 19th. Very dramatic oil paintings. He's got flowing gowns. He's got mythical figures.
He's got the head of Medusa.
He does, with Perseus, biblical stuff, all kinds of nice romantic floofy paintings.
Happy birthday, Eugene.
Happy birthday.
All right.
Okay.
All right, who's this guy?
On May the 21st, this is Henri Rousseau.
I love Rousseau.
Yes,
I love
he's fantastic. Born in 1844, he was self-taught.
Yep.
French post-impressionist painter. Very primitive, naive art.
One of Rousseau's paintings haunted my childhood because my grandmother had one hanging in her house.
Oh,
not a real one, just a print, but it was strange.
Yeah.
I always looked at that like something's wrong there.
I love the detail in his paintings too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you, and we're moving on. Yes.
5/22, so May 22nd. This is Mary Cassatt. She was actually born in Pennsylvania and spent most of her life in France.
I'll bet she liked rosés.
I'm sure she did. I like rosés. It's not the first one I go to. I usually go to a nice dry Sauvignon Blanc and stuff like that. So, but anyway, Mary was an American painter, printmaker. She was friends with Degas, who kind of brought her into the Impressionist scene. A lot of themes around mothers and children. So happy birthday, Mary.
Happy birthday, Mary. Moving on. This guy. Hubert.
I know. His name is funny to me.
I know.
It's like,
Hubert Robert.
Yeah, right? It's the syllable with the hard T at the end or something. Hubert Roberts. And he was born in 1733 on May 22nd as well. He shares the birthday with Mary Cassatt. He's a French painter, romantic. He's known for a lot of landscapes, an idealization
Grandiosity.
of realism and how he'd prefer it to be rather than the way it was. Rococo neoclassic. So happy birthday, Hubert.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on.
Moving on to one of my favorite people.
You might recognize him from episode 8 of The Large Glass.
Martin Puryear's work is the
Martin
bomb.
Puryear. His birthday is May 23rd, 1941. American sculptor, installation artist. Fantastic.
I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. I love this guy's work.
And again, that was like one of my favorite shows. I say that about every show, but I loved having him on and seeing some of his sculptures.
Tonight is going to be one of my favorite shows.
Tonight is going to be one of my favorite shows.
John Park.
too.
I love Martin Puryear. Yeah, I know. It's like that. There's just something about the way he manipulates wood into something soft. It's just
Yeah.
I mean, that's just one thing about his work.
Just one thing.
All hail Puryear from Glenn Lavertu.
Oh,
Yes. Yes. All right, next. Who do we have next? Oh, yes, this man. Martin Puryear and then Martin Parr.
I remember when we first put that in the birthdays because I wasn't familiar with Martin
Yeah, I thought
Parr
you
in the
misspelled Martin
beginning.
Puryear's name. I was like, who's this
I know.
guy?
I was like,
never
I
heard of
think
him.
I misdid this, which isn't a word. I just made that up. But he's got the same birthday, too. They were both born on May 23rd. Martin Parr is younger than Martin Puryear. He was born in 1952. He's a British photographer known for creating these intimate photographs. They have a little bit of an anthropological sense. So
Moving on.
moving on.
I just threw that foot in there. I was just like, I'm looking through all of his photos. I'm like, which one am I going to
He's
pick?
got some awesome
one.
photographs, but
Yes.
yeah, that's usually what he concentrates on.
All right, and one more. I can't believe we've got 7 birthdays last week, 7
Yes.
birthdays this week.
I'm telling you, whatever was going on in September,
Yeah.
love is in the air.
I want this shirt, by the way.
Yes, that's quite something. Well, you can easily make that.
Franz Klein. Happy
Franz
birthday,
Klein.
Franz Klein. When was
He was born on May 23rd in 1910. So he is an American painter, abstract expressionist. So happy birthday, Franz.
Those are all the
Those are the
birthdays.
birthdays.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right. So we've got a few more things that we want to talk about quickly before we get down to our artist. And one of those things is support.
Yes.
And we've got exciting news about our support. If you missed last week's show, one of the things I'm excited to talk about with our support system is, first of all, we're going to have a giveaway at 200 followers because we had a painter who has decided to donate a painting to the show to be given to one of you. And that's Susan Stillman. And I love Susan Stillman's work. We don't know what painting it's going to be yet. We're still working on picking that. But I put some of her images in here just as examples. Now, Susan has an exhibition, a pop-up exhibition coming up soon. She's going to be hosting the pop-up gallery in Larchmont, New York, which is 65 Went Avenue in Larchmont, New York. And she's going to be there on Memorial Day weekend, Saturday the 29th to be specific, from 10 to 3. So if you're in that area, you can stop by. But you can also head over to her website and take a look and get more information at SusanStillmanFineArt.com. And if you're curious about following her on Instagram, you can also do that at Susan_Stillman. I cannot speak, but there it is on the screen. Susan_Stillman_art.
Yes.
So thanks to Susan, because this is really, really brilliant. And I love the fact that, she has volunteered to do that.
Yeah.
She's super generous. I love
Very
her.
generous.
I
It's
love
going to be
her.
hard to have that painting in our house for a little bit and then to let it
And then
go.
to have to give it away. Can I enter that?
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I do have a Twitch account, so maybe I'll just kind of...
All of a sudden we pull it up, it's like Nurses for Art 1. It's like, oh, good. Who's Nurses for Art?
That's me.
All right, and
So,
one last thing.
yes.
We are also...
And Glenn says, all hail Susan Stillman.
All hail Susan Stillman. Yes, agreed. I'm hoping she's watching. I know that I think she had a class conflict with our show for a while there.
Okay.
So, but I think she's been meaning to get on.
Yeah.
We are on Patreon. Patreon is a system of support, and it is a great system of support. It allows us to give exclusive content to our Patreon subscribers. So we have videos up there that you would not normally see.
Yeah.
So, for example, we started a new little series called "Hey, what's your favorite artist?" And we ask each other that every week because it changes. And
We're always changing.
We've been posting those videos there. We also have a new addition to the show, which we posted on there for our Patreon supporters first.
So for $3 a month, less than a Starbucks coffee, you can get our content, help support us, and join in on the fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
You know, one thing that Terry's actually going to do, which I think is brilliant, is, you know, you've probably seen this dog that we got around Christmas time, and it's a terror. And Terri buys it lots of toys, and it literally just completely destroys the toys. She's hanging on to them, and she's going to shoot them in a white box, a sort of a sculptural kind of like art-like setting, as an art exhibition, these destroyed dog toys. And they're really kind of cool to look at, actually. And we're going to do a whole show around that exhibition.
Yeah, the artwork of maybe Lambrix.
The artwork of maybe Lambrix, specifically on Patreon. So we're not going to put that on Twitch. So you got to come along for that ride. All right. So anyway, I'm waiting for Glenn Lavertu to write in there, all hail maybe Lambrix, but he hasn't done it yet. All right.
Okay.
Anyway, that's how you can support us. We thank you for that. We thank all of our followers and supporters. If you can't support us in that way, tell a friend. Tell a friend to come watch the show. That's all we want. We really are looking to just get more people watching. That's the big goal. All right. So we are moving on. And should we start thinking about getting on to the rest of this show?
I think she's there in the wings.
Yeah, we're looking over at our secondary monitor over there.
Guest.
Yes. So let's see. We should probably talk a little bit about our special guest before we just, jump onto the screen. Do you want to do that, or do you want me to do that?
Well, we can.
Why don't we tell the story about how we found them?
Okay.
Our mutual interest.
Right. Well, we kind of discovered them not together.
Correct.
So, I saw them first through Etsy.com. This was a long time ago, and they were creating these sculptures. There were several articles written about them, and I fell in love with their sculptures. And I kind of watched them throughout the years, and I was like, gosh. And I didn't start. I think it was when we got together a couple years back, and we were talking about artists. And usually I tend to introduce you to one, or you introduce me to five. That's kind of how it goes.
You've introduced me to many.
Right. But it's funny because we both discovered them separately, and as soon as we mentioned it, there was a spark.
Yeah.
So
we knew, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I've looked at their work before, and then
together we started going down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, but first, Terri actually bought me 2 of their pieces for my birthday, which floored. Was it my birthday?
I think it was Christmas.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Christmas. It floored me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this.
There were tears in his eyes.
Yeah, I was thrilled, and so now we've gone down this rabbit hole where we've been collecting the figures of Doubleparlour. Now, Doubleparlour is an artist duo that hails from California, just like we said, and we are super excited now. We are unfortunately missing one of them tonight. He was not able to make it. But that's okay, because the other half of Doubleparlour is with us to sort of help us get to see that work, hang out, have a conversation about process and all those great things. Yeah. And so I want to, first of all, let's switch screens because we got the curtain. Yes. And the curtain is actually up for once. I didn't screw this up.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah, well,
I would screw this up. All right. Would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes.
Please do.
I would love to. So joining us tonight is a very special guest. She's part of the duo known as Doubleparlour. Her name is Cassie Velasco.
All right, Cassie Velasco.
She is part of a pair. Her significant other, husband, Ernie, couldn't join us tonight, but she's here with us tonight, and we couldn't be happier.
Welcome, Cassie. It's nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hi, Todd and Terri.
It's nice to see you. We're honored. We are honored to have you here on the show tonight.
It's a little bit of a rock star moment.
Thrilled.
We're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, I just totally blew the screen up.
There we go.
See, I told you I would mess this up. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about you guys. Terri and I sometimes on the show talk about how we met. Because it's got a long story. We like to get romantic about the story. But how did you guys meet?
So we met when we were in our early 20s in San Diego. So I went back there after I graduated from Humboldt State. And then Ernie and I met. He was actually in a punk rock band with his best friend, and his best friend was dating my sister. So that's how I got introduced to him.
Ah,
Ooh.
And yeah, so, and then we started dating, and then we were dating about, I think about I'm so bad with time, but maybe a year and a half. And then we moved to San Francisco. And then we've been there in San Francisco up until about almost 4 years ago when we moved to Sonoma County.
cool. Yeah, I was remarking before we got on the show about the view out the window behind you, which is just stellar, just fantastic.
Yeah, I fell in love with redwood trees when I lived up in Humboldt. So I don't know, it's very comforting to be around them, and they're actually in our yard, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And inspiring too, especially given, like when our guests start to look at some of your work and some of the tree related themes in that work, it kind of like feels like it belongs there somehow. So I'm curious though, like, so when did you and Ernie start to realize that, making, right, the practice of making sculpture or just, kind of collaborating was something that interested you? Does that have a moment in time?
Yeah, it does. So I had been doing mostly paintings and photography, and then Ernie had been mostly concentrated on music. And then around, I think it would have been around probably 2004 or so, he started taking some printmaking classes just at our local junior college, and started getting in drawing and getting interested in doing art too. And so then I think it was around 2006, we decided to do a collaboration together. So we did a series of paintings called, I think we called it Conversation, and we don't have our Etsy shop anymore, so we kind of lost some of all that stuff. But we would, one of us would start the painting and the other person would finish it, and they were just small acrylic paintings. And so we opened a shop on Etsy and sold them. And then we stumbled upon and at that time we were starting to discover a lot of other Bay Area artists, and started actually collecting. And we stumbled upon a video from a local artist. He's in Oakland, called John Casey, and he did a tutorial on working with polymer clay, which is a clay that you can basically work with until you fire it, and you can fire it in a toaster oven.
Right.
It's yeah, so it's easy to do at home. So we saw a tutorial from him, and we were totally interested in it, and neither of us had really done sculpture work before. I took a ceramics class in college, but I didn't get that into it at the time. So then we started doing polymer clay sculptures and selling them on Etsy. And when we first started out, we were kind of each doing our own separate things. And now it's evolved more, where Ernie's doing all the sculpting, and I'm primarily doing like finishing work and helping out with painting and stuff like that, because he does art full time. He quit. He was a pastry chef, which actually is quite a transferable skill. He still works on marble cutting boards, rolling out
Oh,
the
yeah, that's
material.
true. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I work full time at a hospital, so my time with Doubleparlour is limited.
Right,
But
but I think we've encountered that before too, where the way because Terri and I collaborate also, like not only on this show but as artists as well. And Terri works as a nurse, and I'm here full time, and I think we get that kind of balance, and it works. It works. So, okay, so then you basically, in a lot of respects, have a lot of self-taught around. You've been self-taught with a lot of the polymer clay stuff. Is that right?
yeah, and then actually we only use polymer clay for a couple of years. It's kind of a fragile material, doesn't do well with sun, temperature changes, so forth. Right. So we moved on to using Magic Sculpt, which is an epoxy resin. That's our primary material.
Right.
And then we also do casting, which we're using a liquid resin smooth on. So we've been doing that for many years now.
Yeah, I'm actually really lucky because about 30 minutes from me is the Smooth On headquarters in Pennsylvania, and it's a fantastic place to go. So if you're ever out this way, number one, we want you to come hang out with us, and two, we're going to take you to Smooth On. So
They do tours or?
they moved locations just recently, but you used to be able to walk into their corporate headquarters, and their lobby, where you'd typically expect to meet a receptionist, was a showroom for their materials, and they'd have techs there. And you could walk in and be like, so can I cure a silicone that's based in platinum in a mold that has a tin base? And they'd be like, well, blah, 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 blah. And they'd really get into it with you. So they would teach you right there on the spot. It was really cool. Yeah, you'd love it. You'd love it.
Yeah, we have like a local Bay Area art supply store called Douglas and Sturgis, and all the people that work there have like worked with all these different materials from Smooth On and different companies. So anytime you go in there, you can be like, oh, I'm trying to do this with this and this, and they'll be like, okay, this is material where you can mix this pigment. It can be liquid or powder or whatever. And so, yeah.
Right. So, so then obviously, I'm scrolling by some slides here of some of the work, and we have a combination of images here. We've got work that you sent us that, and by work, I mean images you sent us of the work that we have up. And then we also have images that we took of the stuff that we've collected from you as well. But, I kind of want to start to introduce the audience to what we're seeing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this, as we see some of these figures here on the screen, this is the stuff that struck me about this work in the first place, was this kind of, there's a certain kind of strange psychological impact that the gaze, the look has. And it's just, so odd to me.
Yeah, well, they're quite surreal too. I think that dreamlike surreal nature really was the pulling into me, because that's what pulled me in.
Yeah. Sometimes, Cassie, when I look at your work and I think about you, like when I look at my own work, right, and I think about who I am, I have a hard time drawing a line between who I think I am, like as a person, like my day-to-day life, and then I look at this work that I make and I'm like, there's connections I can make, and then there's this weird kind of space between us. But I think in your work, and correct me if I'm wrong, but how do you, what's the personal connection for you, I think, on some level? And that's a really big question. That's like a 2-hour long talking point. It's like, where do these guys come from sometimes? Like, is it basically, I guess what I'm asking is when you're making a form, is it really coming out of almost nowhere? Because I love that approach, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but how does that where's the spark?
No, it is. It's just really from kind of the mind wandering and coming up with ideas. Like we don't have like a subscribed method of like how we go about our pieces. We don't usually draw out sketches. It starts with an idea, and usually we just discuss it and we figure out, okay, how are we going to actually make this work? Like how are we going to form it? Like what is it going to look like in its final form? Like, are we going to be able to ship it? Like some of the stuff is practical, and other times it's just like coming up with an idea, or an expression or just a thought, and then just having it, creating in a 3-dimensional form.
Yeah, we have, one thing I wanted to mention two things. Number one, we've got a live chat going here, right? And so I want to sometimes convey those comments, to you so that you can see what's going on. But one of our viewers, I call him 63 because his username is just a long string of numbers. Yes. But he says, probably better not to know where things come from. And I could not agree with him more, because I feel like, we could probably look at a survey of all of Doubleparlour's pieces and see influences and changes and evolutions, and think about it just from the standpoint of the making, right? And how one finch led to another finch, and that's the right name, right?
I believe so.
Finch.
Yes.
Sorry, Cassie, you'll have to forgive me if I mess up a name. And we have a finch.
We do.
Yeah. That's his name, right, Cassie?
I think so.
The big guy? We have. Okay, so first of all,
I have a question for you. How many sculptures do you think you've created over the years?
Oh my God.
Just guesstimate.
Okay.
It's got to be in the thousands.
You're making me do some math. So let's see. We probably create anywhere from 20 to 30 a month.
Wow. And how many years have you been at it now?
And you started in
Since
2007?
2007. I mean, it varies. Some months less, and when we were doing more gallery shows, it would take us a couple of months to create a piece because we are creating larger pieces.
I remember seeing some of those on your Instagram, some of the bigger ones you made for those shows. Those were amazing. Like, I couldn't imagine. How did you bake some of that? Oh, you're using Magic Sculpt now, so that's not even a bakeable
Magic
thing.
So it air dries. So you have a working time. So basically it's two parts and you mix it. It has a consistency of clay. So we work with it like clay, and you can actually use water or cornstarch, depending on how much you want it sticking together. And then it dries for several hours up to overnight. And
Right.
once it's dry, then you mix a new batch and it sticks to each other. You can drill holes through it. You can sand it. It's really easy to kind of, like, we start with, let's say it's a human form or whatever it is. We start with like some, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, like aluminum foil or something for
A core. Yeah, like a core.
the innards. That's not the word.
An armature.
Armature, thank you.
Yep.
And then we put the resin over, and then when we might add like limbs, add heads,
Right.
add clothing, add whatever.
Yeah, so 63 is saying he's curious about scale and what type of scale we're talking about. And it varies, 63, it varies. So we have pieces here that are, between about 6 to 8 inches tall. But some of the ones that Cassie's talking about with these shows they did were human scale, weren't they? Or close to it?
Yeah, I mean, for most of the shows, we're usually doing, 12 inches or taller. They could be quite wide. We did a high fructose group show. It was maybe 2 years ago now, but that one we did, yeah, that sculpture was, I think, almost 6 feet tall.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
I remember
We had
that
to
one. I
rent
think that was
we had
the
to rent a
mouse.
truck to like transport it to the gallery. It didn't fit in our car.
I'm
Oh,
sure.
wow.
I'm sure. And it's funny because in my experience with Magic Sculpt, it comes in tiny. I'm used to seeing it in the classroom in tiny quantities. So I can't imagine how much you guys were like going through when you were making that stuff. But
Yeah, a lot of buckets of it.
yeah. So, one thing I also noticed, Cassie, is the photos that you sent me.
I was going to say the same thing because the way you photograph them provides another two-dimensional way to look at your work, and the photo itself is fantastic as well. I mean, look at the shadows and the lights and the projection going on here.
Yeah, and
So-
then the other ones that are outdoors.
Yeah, and when you look at the Instagram too, you see a lot of complex and inviting ways to look at your work.
Yeah, they become a two-dimensional image that's
They
kind of an
do.
art piece in and of itself, right? Right now, if you've, well, first of all, I am going to pop Doubleparlour's Instagram up onto the screen so you guys can see it. But if you followed them for a while, you'll see the ways in which these things are photographed over time. And now they're, with the set they're getting ready to drop, they are photographing. You guys are doing a great job with these. I love them. It's like they're in these really dark, they're emerging out of the darkness. It's like this chiaroscuro, like Rembrandt-esque kind of mysterious. And part of me is like, number one, I'm like, wait, I can't see it all. But the other part of me is like, ooh, I want that. It's like, it's very mysterious.
Yeah.
I love that about them. So, so this is a good turning point in this talk, because this goes to that kind of, what? You want to say something?
Well, there's a lot of comments coming in too that, and I think this is great. Some people are asking really cool questions that we want to get to. If anybody thinks of anything, just type it in the chat now, because there's always a delay whenever we get to it. But I'm seeing some great questions come up, but they're all like different topics. So
Yeah, so maybe what we can do is we'll have a little Q&A towards the end, and
Yeah.
if there's anything that we miss, I'll scroll back through the comments and try and get them all so that we can kind of try to get everything in. So I was going to say that I feel like when we talk about the photography of this work and we talk about the way it's presented, there's a psychology
Yes.
to this. There's kind of there's a dream state to this. There's these elements of, I use this word too much, but I'm going to use it again, but this element of wonderment that takes place, which is kind of, wonderment is a curiosity that's sparked out of a fear of the unknown, but it maintains an interest, that curiosity that's there because it's strange enough that it pulls you in, but at the same time keeps you cautious. And I think that's a fantastic word that applies to these pieces. And so, when I see a young woman standing there, like sort of, shyly casting a glance upward while she holds a large fish in a very sweet dress, I'm like, wow, I want to know who this is. Like I feel this weird connection to my own awkwardness sometimes, which I love. I love. Alice in Wonderland, like Pumpkin Audrey says.
Yes,
yeah,
very much so.
Yeah. And some of them are very simplistic, and others like this one are far more.
Well, some, I feel like it's like thought processes. I feel like once in a while there might be a one-liner, a little bit, like when I think of some of the kiddos and some of the like the shark that we had, and the jellyfish and all these different things. I feel like they have
like one singular kind of.
When you put them in a group, the meaning becomes even more so. Now you got a school of fish. Now you got, and the thought processes get a little bit more expanded. Then there are pieces that have a whole narrative going on in just one piece, like the one that's up on the screen.
Yeah.
You start really looking into it, and it's like you see the old style. Your work is one thing I do like a free association with to like really try to understand it. And some of the things I love about it is that it's got this retro connotation here. We see an old phonograph, can't speak. Some of the clothing is very vintage and cool. You see this hose coming where the heart would be out into the music. And on her mind, there's a whole scenario going on. It's a couple under the tree. And, you start trying to put together, and Todd and I will sit there in front of the cabinet and stare at them for a very long time sometimes, just thinking about what some of the meanings are. And like I've said this to lots of artists, sometimes I don't want to know exactly what the meaning is because the wonderment also transfers to the person who's watching. Sometimes we love to create these thought processes and scenarios. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and I actually, I'm not saying I'm pushing back on this a little bit, but when it comes to like meaning, I don't go near that with these, right? I would much rather wallow in this kind of space, this weird, like when you're in a dream, okay, when you're having a dream and something very strange is happening in that dream, you're not immediately thinking about what the meaning is when you're in the dream. You might consider that later when you wake up, but at that moment when you're experiencing that, there is this space in your mind that is fantastical.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to experience with these.
Yeah.
63 is saying, wow, the shadow space in this photo is amazing, and I totally agree. Mike Rader is here. Hi, Mike. He says, if so, what animation or comics are they into or influenced by? That's interesting.
That's a good one.
Cassie, are you into any animation or comics or anything along those lines? Do you and Ernie what do you like?
Yeah, so we have a ton of graphic novels and comic books and so forth. I think, and it kind of changes because there's a lot of artists we like, but do you know the artist Jason?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if Mike's the one asking, but
Jason, okay.
Yep, I know Jason. Who else do you like?
So now I'm on the spot and I can't think of any.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. John Park says it is very dreamlike, but there is a clear narrative possibly here. Music connected to the heart and the romance going on in the head and probably being described in the music. Yeah, John, exactly. And like when I say I'm sort of reluctant to go after the narrative, like my mind is playing kind of a touch and go with that narrative, right? Where I don't want to get so caught up in defining that narrative that I forget about the dream on some level, right? So anyway, I'm riffing here. Cassie, when you think of more comics, let us know. But
yeah, I thought of, well, we like Hans Richter a lot too. That's very kind of dark and very different from Jason. And then Daniel Klaus, I think is his last name. It's local.
Okay. That one I don't know. I'm not sure who that is.
I don't have the best memory, so it takes a while to get it out.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page there. So let's see. I'm kind of moving through these because there's so many, and I know
so many.
Cassie's got some really cool things to actually show us too.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pop ahead, and one thing I'm always interested in is the studio, right? And how the studio functions, and how that space. I love these two, by the way. These two. This is lard and gird.
So I'm a nurse, so I'm like, wow, this is cool.
And I have GERD.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
It's like the personification of these medical
I'm a gastric
anomalies, which
nightmare.
is awesome.
Just, putting that out there. And I can totally relate to this guy.
Yeah.
You just want to stay in your jammies.
Yeah, sometimes. So, wait a minute. I'm just looking. It's like, be careful of the literal. It can be layered. True. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
There's
Lots
good
of
stuff going on in
layers.
the chat
Yeah.
right now. This is awesome.
I do want to go back to a very basic question, and Pumpkin Audrey actually asked it, and it was something that was on my mind too. And she had said, if we scroll up there, Todd, can we scroll up a little bit?
Oh yeah, sure. In this one chat here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let me find her. Not too far though. Oh, there it is. She wants to know what the meaning of Doubleparlour is,
Or where you came up with the name Doubleparlour. Like, how did you guys decide on Doubleparlour? I like that. I love that name.
Oh, yeah, it's not a super interesting story, but we'll double because it's two. And
Of course.
the last apartment that we or flat that we lived in the city had a double parlor. So it had two living rooms with the sliding pocket doors.
Yes, because if you look up Doubleparlour, it mostly is it's an architectural term, and it refers to exactly that.
Well, actually, one thing I did do was I looked up parlor. Like, I really wanted to get into the word and the meaning of it. And it has 16th century French roots in terms of conversing. It means to have a conversation. It has Latin roots like that too.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we think of parlor, it's a very Victorian kind of word.
Mm-hmm.
It was a status symbol. Not everybody could afford a parlor, but it was a place to have small, intimate conversations.
Which perfectly describes this. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I was like, wow. And then, So that was kind of where my mind was going with you're doing some
name.
Investigative research.
Yeah. But it's perfect because, and they are conversational pieces. Like, when we have people come over, everybody gravitates towards the collection because it's in a place in our house and it's displayed.
Go ahead, Cassie, you first. I'm about to have a comment, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And besides the whole history of parlor, like, when I always think about it, I think about it as besides like people getting together, having like intimate conversations, it's also where people would just, play games and relax and just enjoy each other's company. And like, it kind of reminds me a little bit when I was young and my dad would read us stories and stuff like that, like before all the high tech stuff, where you just kind of took your time with things.
There's kind of a lack of serious. There's that. I shouldn't say lack of seriousness. There's a casualness to the intimacy, right? It's kind of like a space where you gather, right? And I think about all these pieces together, and it's a perfect example of that. And I've got an image in here of a shelf in your studio that I pulled off of Instagram. And it's like all these unpainted pieces, and I'm just like, oh, I want to go through each one so badly. And that big comment that I was winding up for a second ago that I was going to say is, Terri keeps making reference to how conversational the collection we have is. And when people come over, it's sort of like, oh, yeah, I want to talk about that. And I said to her, I would really love to have a couple of them here on the desk so that I could like hold them up. And she's like, that's a dumb idea.
I didn't say that was a dumb idea. I said that wasn't wise because what if something happened? We're drinking.
Oh, look.
Oh,
Wait.
Oh.
There we go. There's one.
There we go. There's one.
I didn't know it was faux pas, so I brought some.
Well,
it's not faux pas.
With gloves.
She won't let me take mine out.
Careful. I always make fun of him because he pulls out the white gloves, and we're very gentle. But
yeah, they're varnished, so the paint is protected.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very careful. I mean, I've worked in several museums. I've worked for conservators, and so I'm careful. That's all. But I was going to have you know, like Nanette and Bonnie. I was just going to
Yes.
like hold that up because I think
That's
that's
our baby, though. That's our favorite one.
I'm
so.
still going to ask you if I can jump up and get it in a little while. But there's a lot of stuff coming up in the comments. So Pumpkin Audrey's like, look at those sculptures. Like Pumpkin Audrey really liked seeing that one. And let's see, what else do we have here? You can find.
It's layered. Careful of the literal.
Glenn wrote something really quickly. He said Daniel
Back.
Clowes did the comics
Oh, yes.
that wound up as the Art School Confidential movie, and he talks about Ghost World as well. So that got it. All right, let's go back to our images really quickly. I'm glad she pulled that one up. All right, so I've got some images up here of the studio, and I like seeing process stuff like this. It kind of gives us a window into, you know, how you guys work, you know, like what goes on. I always want to kind of wander into those spaces and just kind of like, you know, pick through. There's something about, okay, so can I ramble for a little while? Just for a little bit? Okay, I'm going to ramble for a little while. There is... there's a word I like to use when I see stuff like this, and then I'm reluctant to use it because when it comes out of my mouth, people are like, you know, because they think I'm using it in a way that they're used to hearing it, but I'm not. And that is the word fetishism. Okay, and the reason I like that word here is because fetishism is perceiving power in objects or things. It is not necessarily this other, the sexual connotation that comes from the word fetishism.
Yes.
Fetishism is about perceiving power in objects or things. And so I think about idols, right? I think about totems. I think about things that have imbued
like
talismans, things that have imbued in them this kind of mysticism, right? And that mysticism comes from a couple of things. Number one, it comes from, you know, obviously the care, craft, ingenuity, and artisanship that's put into this, right? But it also comes from this kind of uniformity where all across the spectrum of everything that Cassie and Ernie make, right? They're different, but at the same time, there's this interesting uniformity. There's this interesting connectedness that is there, right? And that uniformity is, I think, imbues these figures with this kind of specialness. It imbues these figures with this kind of power. And to me, they become like fetish objects. There's a fantastic object, and I want to say it's West African. It is known as an Nkisi Nkandi. It's an African tribal doll that is used to seek revenge on somebody. So you go to this medicine man and you want to, somebody's wronged you and you want to get revenge on them, and he pulls out this doll and it's made of wood, right? And in the doll somewhere there is a location where you place an offering. It could be something that is, it's almost voodoo-like on some level, where you might bring to it something from the person you're looking to seek revenge against. And then you nail a nail into the wooden object. And so slowly this wooden object collects all these nails, and tied to the nails are pieces of fabric, pieces of hair, and that releases, it angers and releases the spirit inside to come forth and fulfill your revengeful thoughts. Okay, now I don't think that these pieces that Doubleparlour's making have anything to do with that at all. However, when you start to see collections of these Nkisis, like in a museum, that uniformity, that kind of, there's something about the collection, there's something about the many, right? That all of a sudden, even if you don't believe in this kind of thing, you all of a sudden start to think, oh yeah, okay, I get that now. And that's what happens for me with these. When we have that cabinet in there that's beautifully lit and all of those things are in there, and I walk past that, there is that imbued, perceived power in that space. And now I'm going to stop talking because I sometimes go on way too long. But I mean, Cassie, what do you think of that? Does that ring true at all? I mean, am I missing something? Am I crazy?
No, I think that's just an interesting viewpoint, and I can kind of see how some people would perceive it that way.
I mean, I don't necessarily equate these with some kind of like tribal religiosity. Right. But I do kind of think that, you know, I see them all together, like even in the pre-made form, this is a magical space right now, right? Because they're coming into being, and seeing them all there's a uniformity, there's a mysticism, and I love that about these.
Yeah.
And they are safe to have in your home. Just don't touch their bellies.
There you go. There you see. That's what I'm talking. That's exactly what I'm talking about. 63 is saying,
Exactly.
are those the nail pieces? The Met
Yes.
has a few great ones. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. He's like, they're amazing. Yeah, for sure. And it's a distant connection I'm making here, of course, but I can kind of, that power is really what I'm getting at. Mom says I'm freaking out here. What amazing magical talent. That's my mom.
Yeah.
My mom comes over and sees our collection, and I can see she's eyeing it up. We keep it locked. We keep it
It
locked.
actually is locked, yes.
Yeah. Jess Park is saying, please bring them out.
Yes.
Thanks, Jess.
But Mike Rader says, bring out the white gloves.
See?
See?
So, are you going to let me? Can I go get one? I know you hate it when I leave the stage.
Well,
That's okay. I can show you a sneak peek of our
Yes.
from our upcoming release on Friday, I guess.
All
if you
right.
guys, while he goes and does his thing.
I'm gonna go
Okay.
get them. But I missed the sneak peek.
Be
I'll
careful.
catch it on the recording.
Be careful.
I'll be
Okay,
careful.
okay.
Oh, I can't leave right now. I can't leave.
Oh, that's fantastic. So this is one of the ones that you're going to have on the drop on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's this probably reminds you of some brand.
Why, yes, it does. I love the homage to popular culture, either brands or I know that he had like one piece with these tentacles coming out. We have one of those. But it reminded me of Stranger Things. Like, so there's like, yes. Wow. Oh my God. So that's the one we're going to try to get. But I say that about every single one.
That's the comfort food kiddo.
Oh my God, he's awesome. Now each one has your signature on the back too, right? There's the little insignia with Doubleparlour. Yep.
But probably can't really see it very.
Okay.
And then just one more.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now sometimes when you drop, there's several pieces in a row. Do you make editions, like certain numbered editions, or some are originals?
Some are originals. They're completely hand sculpted, and then some, we'll do a series of, and then those ones usually start out as a cast piece, and then they're so cast with smooth on, and then embellished with magic sculpt. Like I'll just show you since he's getting stuff right now. Like, so for the embellished cast resin pieces, so then we have, we use like usually starting with a silicone mold. You can see this. Okay, so this mold with these are actually where the eye sockets are.
Yes.
Kind of funny. You can see how deep they are, but like this one is for, this is what this figure would look like. The lighting's not great.
No,
I don't know if you
I can see it.
Yeah, okay, maybe. And so this is one of the skull kiddos. So this is how it would come out of the molds, with a little bit of seams and some cleanup work. And then we would add obviously arms and whatever else we would add to him. But this is like one that would just come. This is the same one that come out of the mold that I just showed.
Okay. She just showed the mold.
Oh, yeah. Well,
did you?
I'm excited to have
So
some on mine too. Oh, yeah.
This is the skull kiddo.
You can see how long the eye sockets are. This is for the skull kiddo. So this is, and sorry, the lighting, it's kind of, maybe that helps a little bit because I have a light on the side. So this is the skull kiddo. Yeah, when he comes out, and then he would be cleaned up and have arms and stuff added to him.
Yeah. Whenever you post the mold making stuff, he really tunes into that beat. And then he's created a couple of molds too, and he's like, I know, and Doubleparlour does theirs. Like he's already trying to think.
Well, I've taught mold making to my students, and I have my gloves on. I've taught mold making, and so and I love working in silicones and different things. And so when I see what you do, I get really excited. Like, first of all, your craftsmanship in the mold making is exquisite. So Ernie really understands how to do this. 63 says, is that a poured resin?
Yes. Yeah. So it would be it'd be poured through the feet here. So it's two parts. So yeah. So basically the original prototype would look exactly like this, but in Magic Sculpt, and then we do two clay sides then and pour for the silicone, and then for the liquid, so then this would be rubber banded, of course, and then we would pour the liquid through the holes. And so we either do it through the head or the feet, just depending on, like for this figure, it worked better for the feet.
Right. So can I ask a real sort of brand technical question? Are you pouring Smooth Cast 300?
Yes, smooth on 300.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite materials, actually. So
Yeah, because it has that 3-minute drying. That's just perfect.
I know, it's
for
like
us.
bam. And the funny thing is when you, I don't know about you, but I use insane protection when I use that, because I've used so many urethane resins in my time as, you know, like I did a lot of artist fabrication for years where we'd make these massive molds and pour like crystal clear and all kinds of stuff. And now when I crack open those urethane resins, I feel funny. Like I don't feel right. Like something's not, it's got a neurological thing going on. So not that Mike Rader's like, yes, the gloves. All right. Can I show one? Can I show one? All right.
Yes,
All right. I'll show one. Can't count to 10 anymore, huh? No, that ended a long time ago. All right. So here's one.
This is one of our newer ones.
This is one of the newer ones. We got this one recently.
But do we need to do our faces or no?
It's gonna have a hard time with the green screen. I love this guy.
Yeah.
This one was. I have to tell you though, when I jumped on the website for this drop, I was kind of hoping to get the horse with the gun, but that was gone way too fast. So I slipped up. There's this one. This guy, I love this. Terry's covering her face because the cameras have facial recognition.
Faces, so if my face is there, it's
not going to focus. But we have a nice. We don't have a problem
that?
with focus right now. So I love this one, and I'm saving. I'm moving up the ladder.
This one,
here.
the green screen might interfere with.
Oh, the green screen's going to totally kill that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this one, I love this one, but the green screen's going to murder it. The heads look black in this. But they're actually these beautiful green teapots.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we have a picture of it, though.
There's a slide of this. I'll show you this in a slide.
Yeah.
Show you this in a slide. And then last but not least, don't worry, it's got wax on the bottom. She's freaking out.
Okay.
She's freaking out.
You're freaking out.
I've got Nanette and Bonnie, which
She's our favorite.
She's our favorite. She's definitely our favorite. And I know that on the Instagram for Doubleparlour, some people were like, that's the best one ever. And I was like, yeah, and it's mine. I shouldn't do that. You probably have people watching. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to show those. Let's get back to, can we do some more images?
Yeah, let's do some more images.
Okay, so we've got a few more studio shots here that we can go through.
I love watching the repetition too. The repetition is one of the most fascinating things.
And that's, I think, what I'm talking about with the uniformity side of things, right?
Yeah, and even in terms of collecting, like he showed you more different pieces than what we have, but I know I'm always drawn to the kiddos. And I can't quite figure out why. I don't know if it's something I'm relating to from my childhood or something like that, but every time the kiddos drop, I'm always gravitating towards them. I love the other ones too, but it's funny how they've become like my favorite. And I love the repetition in our case too, because there's so many different kinds.
Yeah. So Cassie, here's a funny question, okay? Can we talk about artistic difference? Like, are there times, because I know that when Terry and I work together on things, sometimes we're just like, do you and Ernie ever have that? Do you guys like, are you guys like fluid and working perfectly together all the time? Or are there moments when, you know, you want to do a thing to something I could imagine if you're painting on these and he's sculpting them, are there moments when you have a vision for something to put on there that he doesn't work, like jibe with, or like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes, you know, we won't agree on certain like patterns or colors or other things. And, but we always, you know, we never argue or anything like that.
Oh,
it's
that's
just
good.
Yeah, just a difference of a opinion or maybe one of us has a vision of it looking a certain way. But it always ends up working out fine in the end. And
because there's some, I think go ahead, you first. I'm sorry. No, you first.
Oh, he's just a lot more practical too. So sometimes when I have sculpture ideas, he's like, well, how is this gonna work? You know, and I'll be like, oh, it's like this. He's like, yeah, but.
Well, yeah, because I think sometimes when the concept comes about and you're like, I want to make this, And then the reality sets in from the sculpture standpoint of like, well, I don't even know if a mold can be made for that, right? And so I could see that. I could totally see that happening. You know, I forget what I was going to say. It's okay. But I like that. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I feel like the forms and the way you paint the forms, they harmonize so perfectly. And I think that's why I asked the question. Like, I'm not trying to dig up dirt on how the working relationship is. I just am really blown away by the way in which you're both able to bring this together so beautifully, right? That's what blows my mind. So let's see. We've got...
I think like a lot of it too is just so many years working together, doing Doubleparlour, so it's become more kind of a cohesive vision, I guess, if you will, and we kind of have a certain color palette that we use. You know, I mean, we don't always paint them. Some of them are just glazed too, but usually they're, like this shot, they're usually completely painted.
Right, right. Yeah, no, and I actually, one of the things that you sending these older photos
those are old pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, it made me realize, I should have been collecting this stuff so much earlier.
See, this is an interesting photo because this was actually when we were sculpting separately. Some of these pieces, like the one with the meat is mine. The one with the red dress is mine. And some of them we were doing separately.
Oh, that's interesting because there is a certain cohesiveness even if you were working separately.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it. I love the one with the piece of meat. I have a singular image of that up here. Ben Hagenbush says you should make an animated movie with these characters. So original. Didn't you actually, was that something you wanted to do at one point or you could see yourself doing? Do I remember?
Well, people say that to us all the time at like when we're doing like people used to say it all the time when we were doing a lot of conventions and craft fairs and stuff. And we're like, sure, like if you want to fund it, we'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Or like claymation type stuff. I mean, that would be fun.
Pumpkin Audrey is asking, what kind of paint do you use on these?
So it's so after they're sculpted or cast and whatever it is, they're sanded, they're primed, and we're just using acrylic paint. So either flash paint, golden paints, we used to use vinyl cell, which is basically a paint. It was a paint company in LA based, I believe, that was made for doing animation strips. So it's good at sticking with synthetic materials like plastic. But I don't know if the company closed or what happened, but we're not really able to get that anymore. So, but with priming it, we can use pretty much most types of acrylic paint. The flash paint is, I think, a French company. It's made for sticking to vinyl. Like, so you could use it on vinyl toys, on resin, plastic, basically synthetic materials, and then we varnish everything to protect the paint.
Right. Mike Rader says maybe Tim Burton will back the animation. That could be. We should go after him, right?
I think Mike's our new agent.
There you go. Mike's gonna help you out here. Okay. Let's see. I've got to turn.
Amanda Tulin says the expressions are ingenious. Yes.
Yeah, they are, and the color sensitivity also she mentioned earlier, which I didn't want to overlook. So as we get later into these, I did do some photographs of the stuff that we have, Cassie. So you might not recognize the photos. I'm sure you'll obviously recognize the pieces, but so that's where some of these are coming from. So I hope I did them justice because I always worry about my ability to shoot.
No, they look great.
So,
yeah.
But
these are some of the pieces that we own.
Yeah. But so there's a couple other things I wanted to mention, but did you have other questions?
Well, I had a lot of different questions, but they're kind of like all over the place. This is a question I usually like to ask artists just to kind of put us in the mindset when you guys start creating. And could you just kind of walk us down like what a typical day in the
working
studio
session
or working session is like? Like, do you put on certain music? Do you have a ritual? Like, you got to drink coffee or you got to do certain things at certain times? Is there something that you need to set the mood with?
I don't so much, since I'm doing it part-time. But yeah, Ernie starts off right in the morning usually with a cup of coffee, and he's usually listening to, well, we have a wide variety of music, and you've probably seen on the Instagram posts, he has a turntable collection that he's learned. He knows how to repair and repair them, and change different parts on them. And we have thousands of vinyl records, so we listen to a lot of.
Ernie and I have to get together. Tell him I've got an old Thorens downstairs that I'm going to ship out to him. He can repair for me. I'm obsessed with audio stuff, but that's for a different time. But anyway, keep going. I'm sorry about that.
And we have the whole setup with the tube amps and everything.
Me
so
too.
Yes, but yeah.
It's just like you can't compare it to anything else. So, and we have so yeah, we have a ton of different turntables because we have mono records too. But anyways, but we listen to a variety of music, anywhere from like jazz, indie rock to metal music, post-punk, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I noticed that you had, if I'm not mistaken, one of the figures had a Cramps. Was it the Cramps on a shirt? And then there's another set of them that are titled Melvins. Is that from the Melvins?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So
when we were both young, like we both got into like goth music and punk rock and all kinds of stuff. Like, so that was kind of from our young days. We were listening to the Cramps and Subhumans and all those kinds of bands back in the day. I liked more, stuff like Smiths and Cure and Susie and the Banshees, all that kind of stuff. So sometimes I do like the rock t-shirts on the
Yes, and I know Terry's not going to let me get out of this chair again. Otherwise, I'd go grab my Cramps albums, my Smiths original pressings that I've got on the shelf behind us. But I'm not going to do that because you probably already have all that. So, but anyway, I'll get killed if I get up again.
Oh my goodness.
Those were fun times to be young. So
They were. Oh my God. I mean, I loved that time.
Yeah.
It was just, music then was just brilliant. I'm not going to sound like an old person, though, and be like, they don't make it like they used to, because they do. There's still some really good music out there.
There is.
Yeah. My sister called me the day that the San Diego local rock station started playing 80s music and calling it classic rock. She's like, we're old now. That was a while ago.
That hurts. That hurts.
Awful.
We'll always be cooler than them.
Yeah.
Always.
I will say, do you want to go back one?
Yeah.
Is it in that one? Going back to because the one piece I bought for Todd was the OK Boomer.
This guy on the right.
The one thing I like is that you take certain subject material, and this one's very humorous, but even like more serious things like the environment, things that are happening with that, as well as even coronavirus. Your pieces, right? Yeah. Your pieces, they seem very playful and entertaining, but they seem also like a social statement sometimes. It's almost like either a way for you and Ernie to deal with some of the issues that are around us, or just to poke fun at it, or provide an outlet to kind of get it out. And I know, like, looking at them, because we also have one of the masked kiddos as well as the OK Boomer, but you do create a lot of socially conscious artwork, even though it's very playful. It's
not intentionally that way, but it is that way. Yeah, and there's a punk side to this, right? I mean, it's like, the punk side of this says, well, I'm going to curse, get ready. But it's like, fuck you, I'm going to wear this shark hat. Yeah. And I don't care if you don't like it because this is who I am. And a lot of these are like that.
Well, I almost think sometimes the expressions on some of their figures say the same thing. Like, so, I'm doing this.
Right, I'm Shark Baby. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. No, it's I love that about these. Yeah. So,
I mean, definitely all of that is true. And we never we never like really talk about our work with what intention we had or what we're thinking, you know, since we like to leave it up to the viewer. But some of the most interesting comments. So we used to do a lot of conventions and craft fairs. And the best was always when children would react to our work, because sometimes they'd be walking by, you know, our booth with their parents, you know, and all of a sudden they'd stop and they would like come closer and closer. You know, the sculpture's like kind of eye level with them where they're on the table, and they'd be like, think about it for a while. Sometimes they would mimic the face of the sculpture.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
They would always ask questions like, well, why are they sad? Or what are they thinking right now? Or where are they going? Where are they going right now? It was always those types of questions, which was always really kind of cool.
But I think that there's
And the
so
moms
much.
are always like, don't touch it, don't touch it.
Yeah.
But there's so much in what those kids are saying, right? Because I think they're really genuinely not all caught up in this idea that let's make this academic, let's make this intellectual, let's make this. It's just like they're really just trying to get a read. They're really just trying to relate, right? And I love that. I love that about that.
Yeah, because they're not seeing it as art; they're seeing it as like a character, and there's some kind of story, and they're wondering like what, like they're doing something right now, and what are they doing? Because like not quite sure.
That's perfect. Yeah, no, I love that about that. And I think that's maybe related to that whole idea of I want to make sense of this, but I'm okay if I don't make sense of it because I understand that something's happening and somehow I feel a connection to that thing, right? Glenn Lavertu says, more swearing, please.
Oh. Yeah, Pumpkin Audrey, the statues are quietly making statements.
And Ben is asking how you got the idea for this one. But Ben, I think that what this kind of does is it goes back to that notion of it's iterative, right? In other words, there's a process that starts with a thing, and you remake a thing, and you remake a thing, and you change it a little bit, and you change it a little bit, and you change it a little bit. I don't think it starts as you know, you're in the shower and you're all of a sudden like, I'm gonna put a piece of grass around the face and have somebody on. I mean, it just kind of like built. Am I right, Cassie?
Well, so no, sometimes it does start that way, but then it takes on more meaning. Like where, I mean, she's eye level looking over this. So, you know, I think that can be left up to different interpretations. Like, is this what she's thinking? Is this all that she sees right now? Is she caught up in this one moment that she can't get away from that moment because of whatever happened?
And
you know,
this is one of the figures that there's like a repetition with the series, and all different scenarios are playing out for
there's a bunch of
to
these.
view. And it's always like the kids are wide-eyed trying to make sense of what's going on. And some of them are so hilarious.
Funny,
like
I know.
flashing and stuff like that. So, and I almost bought that one, but then I'm like, oh, we have kids in the house. And, you know, so that one I kind of like paused on. But they all, it's almost like, there's a thought process in your making, and sometimes I try to imagine you guys making things. And Todd's often talked about, you know, sometimes when you're making things, making becomes a way of thinking, and then it leads to more and more ideas.
Yeah. And
with this one, I could totally feel that, because you start with the kiddo, you have like a variation on a theme. They're all individual. They're very strong. All of your sculptures are very strong individually. But then when you start looking at the runs of them, or you make little groupings of them, the meaning and the context changes. And, you know, people who do collect your work can change those meanings a little bit by the way that we position them.
Totally. And I think that's why we pick the ones we pick.
Yeah.
Right? Because they help to supplement and fill out that whole collection. And speaking of picking the ones we pick, because Cassie, we don't want to keep you longer than we don't want to be unfair to you. But I do want to ask you about this drop coming Friday, because I think our viewers are probably interested in that. I know my mom's going to try and beat me to the click, which she can't do, but that's okay. What do you got? You got a drop coming on Friday. Can you tell us what time? And I know I have your website here. I could put up on the screen for everybody.
we do. And I showed a few pieces earlier. I think you were over at the cabinet.
I'm bummed I missed that.
That's okay. I can pull them up again. So it's going to be this Friday at noon Pacific time.
Right.
Here's one of the figures. So there's going to be a few originals. I didn't have to bring them over here, and then some of the cash embellished pieces. Like there's a little series of these guys.
Oh,
so sweet.
shit, that's awesome.
But wait till you see this.
The Wonder Bread, dude, is
But
awesome.
wait till you
Here's,
see
here's another like
this,
comfort
this
food.
one.
Hold on. That's fantastic.
That is fantastic. I can't wait to get on
Oh,
Friday.
all right. Well, I love that. Hey guys in the audience, do you have any questions for Cassie before we
Last minute questions.
last questions you
call.
want to throw into the chat? We've been trying to keep up with them, and you guys have been doing a great job. But any other questions that you guys have?
Cassie, do you have any favorite pieces that you've done throughout the years? Is there one that you're
Wait,
ever sorry to see
Can I
go?
supplement that? Yeah. Is there a piece you couldn't let go because you loved it so much?
Yes, there's a few of them. I should have brought them over where I'm sitting, but I didn't. But one of the pieces I have is Winter. I don't think we sent you guys a photo of that one, but it's a figure from a few years ago, and she's kneeling, and she has this gray, it's just gray swirling resin coming out of her mouth, and her head is back, so she's expelling a
I think
demon.
I've seen that one actually.
Oh, really?
Maybe I've seen something similar.
Was
to
that on Instagram?
Was it on Instagram?
It's a while back though.
Gotcha.
Okay.
There's a few others I've been fond of that that I've kept too.
Yeah, I would have a hard time letting these go. I gotta
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard time letting my own work go. Oh, Jess Park wants to know about how long does a 12-inch one take to make?
Oh, okay. Yeah, since we're building it in sections and letting it dry, so that I would say average time about 2 weeks. But
Mhm.
obviously that's not constant. That's letting it dry in between and working on it.
Stages. Yeah. Okay, so 2
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah, that's
Anywhere from like week and a half to 2 weeks depending, but we always have multiple pieces going at the same time.
right. Yeah, because when you're making a 2-part rubber mold, I mean, first of all, you've got to build a clay dam around that to get part 1 made. And then you pour part 1, it's got to dry. And then you've got to take it out. You've got to build the new dam around the second half, and you've got to pour that half and wait for that to dry. And you haven't even gotten to the part where you're actually making the casts yet. So it's stage after stage after stage. And then, you know.
For those, yeah, I was thinking more of the hand sculpted pieces when I said 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, you're
yeah,
not even
for
talking about the
the
mold part.
Yeah, the embellished cast resin pieces like those, these can be a little bit quicker. And we have, but yeah, the mold making process takes a while because we had to make a prototype, which is like making a whole sculpture, so for maybe not its arms or whatnot. But then we have probably about 40 or so molds currently.
Yeah, I'll bet. The collection of molds is
Wow.
probably awesome in and of itself.
Yeah, and then some of them are even simpler than with it's just like a body without all the features and stuff, and then we'll build on that. But it'd give us kind of a form to start with.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
But yeah, for the hand sculpted ones, I would say about 2 weeks. Even for these embellished ones, it just takes a couple minutes to cast them, but then it's all the other work on them too.
Oh yeah, to get the original and get the mold made. I mean, sure, once you get all that done, it can move faster, but the stuff that goes in is just intense. So,
Yeah, and then even just painting them, takes, and varnishing takes about a week. So
gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
I got to tell you guys, you should, if get on Instagram, definitely follow Cassie and Ernie on Instagram, because you can see their work. And for some reason, my button isn't working. Hold on a second. I got to go back here. There it is, at Doubleparlour, all one word. And of course,
Yeah, and I will say, for the thousands of sculptures that you've made, once they're gone, they're gone. You can't find them again, because we've tried to look. We've looked on Artsy, we've looked on eBay. I've seen one on eBay, but it was sold already. So when they get sold,
they're held. They don't get
held.
resold.
They don't get resold, because we were like, maybe we can find like an older, sculpture, and no dice.
No dice. It's hard.
Yeah.
So get out there on Friday. It's going to be 3 p.m. our time, Eastern time, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then you guys can all do the math if you're somewhere in between there. But, doubleparlour.com, I'm not going to tell you how to do this. You go shopping for them. I want to have some advantage here. But they drop it exactly. The clock strikes ding, because if you're on there at 59 the minute before, nothing, the shop doesn't change. And then all of a sudden, it reloads. So, drink heavily the night before, forget about it, don't set your alarm. Let me get them all. Let's just see. I've got some other comments in here real quick, Cassie. Cassie, so great to meet you. Thank you. My mom says tonight was the best show ever. I love their work so much. Thank you for making it possible to see this. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And a special thanks to you, Cassie, for being so generous to join us here and talk about this. This has been wonderful. Amanda Tulin says, thank you, Cassie. Ben Hagenbush says,
thank you guys so much.
Yeah, absolutely. 63 says, great job. Great show, you guys. Thank you, Cassie, from Ben. Everybody loved this. And we did too. We really enjoyed chatting with you.
I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And it's like I said, it's like a rock star moment. We got to meet one of our art idols.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. We're honored. Amanda Tulin says, love the world you bring out of your mind and into our world. Yes. So I think that's a perfect place. Yeah. So Cassie, tell Ernie thank you also for doing what he does, and we're sorry that we didn't get a chance to chat with him tonight, but maybe in the future he and I can sit down and talk vinyl and turntables. I would like that.
Oh my God, for hours probably.
Yeah, for sure. I want to know what kind of tube amps he's got, because we can swap stories.
Yeah, there's a whole thing. There's even like extra tubes so we can do tube rolling.
Oh, I tell him. Okay, just tell Ernie this. Yeah, I do. Well, I don't tube roll now because I'm afraid to in the tube amp I have. But if he's interested, I have a box with 600 new old stock tubes that I'm looking to unload. So see if he wants to trade. Anyway, our audience isn't interested in that and my tube collection. They're interested in what they saw tonight. And we thank you. We thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. So listen, here's what I'm gonna do, Cassie. Just like when we log off here, I'm gonna reach out to you with a special thanks, probably tomorrow morning. So I just don't want you to think I hate ending these meetings online like this, and then you just go away. So but from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
All right, all the best to you. We'll talk to you very soon. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Take care.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
All right, you guys. Well, this was genuinely like an experience. I had the best time. I loved looking into Cassie and Ernie's studio, seeing what they do. I can't tell you enough, like when you have these things in your hands, like when you have them in your home, they're...
In person, they are even so much more than what you're seeing on the screen. Because you get the three-dimensional sense, and when you turn them around and you look at them in different perspectives and stuff like that, you see, and just the craftsmanship really comes through when you have them there in your possession.
Yeah, they've got weight to them. They feel they feel good.
They feel good. Yeah.
So that's the end of episode 38.
That's the end of episode 38.
I would like to thank all of you for watching and coming and seeing this show tonight. It was great. You'll be able to check it out on YouTube. We'll have it up there. Don't forget about that drop on Friday.
Yes.
And if you want to find out about the new addition to the Large Glass, join Patreon. Of course, we won't be able to keep it a secret for too long, so you'll find out eventually. But man, it's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
All right. Anyway, cheers to all of you. We think you're great. Thanks for watching. We will see you next week. We got some very cool live artists lined up. Now, next week's not a live artist, but we've got at least one a month all the way till September right now. Okay? So, for what it's worth. Anyway.
It's exciting stuff. Yep.
All right. Take care, you too, Ben. Take care, John Park. Thank you very much. Amanda Tulin, thanks for bringing together an awesome show. Love that awesome Jess Park. Great show. Thanks. Here's to all of you guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And we will see you next week.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Now I got to find that button. I always do this. I like get into a big old mess.
All right.